If you could have a drink with anyone in the theater world, who would it be? I'm Anthony Caporale, and I'm running through my list. Each week, I'll sit down with cast members, bartenders, and personalities from New York's theater district and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to live, work, and play on Broadway. Come have a drink with us on Broadway Bartender. Welcome to Broadway Bartender. My name is Anthony Caporale, and we are here at New World Stages in the heart of Manhattan's theater district, home to my show, The Imbibe, A Spirited History of Drinking. And this week, we're going to start with one of my favorite drinks. It's called a Blood and Sand. If you haven't had a Blood and Sand, go out and try it. It's pretty common, especially on the craft cocktail world. But when you see our special guest this week, I think you'll understand why I'm making this drink. So, as with most drinks, I'm going to start with a couple big scoops of ice into my mixing tin. And as always, I'm making 2 drinks, so I'm going to double my recipe. All the recipes are going to be on our website, BroadwayBartender.com, so you can kind of build a little encyclopedia of drinks that we make here. And I'm going to start with a single recipe would be 2 ounces, so I'm going to do 4 ounces of scotch. And then I'm going to add to that 2 ounces of sweet vermouth. And that would be a 1 ounce per drink. And then the blood part, we're lucky that blood oranges are in season. And I'm going to go ahead and juice some fresh blood oranges. I always like to use all of my citrus freshly juiced. And I'll go ahead and juice 2 whole blood oranges. So again, 1 per drink. And if you're using fresh citrus, don't worry about the seeds. I love having the seeds in there. It shows people that you did it from scratch, that it's fresh. So we now have the juice of 2 blood oranges in there. I love the color on that. And I'm going to shake this up really, really good. And what I'm doing here is chilling the drink, but I'm also diluting the drink. I want to get some of that good ice melt to take some of the burn off the scotch. If you ever enjoy drinks and they're hot on the palate, they burn, it's because they haven't been diluted quite enough. Go ahead and shake that up really good. And I'm going to serve this drink on the rocks. So 2 rocks glasses with ice. And then I will strain this drink over fresh ice. And we always want to serve our guests fresh ice. We don't want to serve them the ice that was in the tin. And I'm going to garnish it with a wedge of blood orange and serve it to our very special guest this week, Mr. David Zayas. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have a drink with you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So, hopefully now you get the reference, right?
It looks like we may need a blood spatter expert to come and check this out.
Exactly, exactly. We got the whole ice truck killer thing going on. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
Tell me how you like this.
Delicious.
Good drink, right?
It sure is.
Yeah, so this is a really, really classic drink.
This is called?
A Blood and Sand.
Blood and Sand.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
so the sand would be sort of the brown for the scotch and the blood from the blood oranges. You can make it with regular orange juice too. So.
Right. Delicious.
Thank you. So welcome to Broadway Bartender.
Thank you.
As I said, I'm a huge fan. I've been watching you since Oz, which I understand that role was created specifically for you. Is that right?
I was doing another show called The Beat that Tom Fontana, who I credit into helping my career start off, doing a show called The Beat that Tom Fontana was writing and running. And that show got canceled, and I was lucky enough to for him to write a great part on Oz for me for the last 3 seasons of that show.
Wow.
Enrique Morales,
Yeah.
really nice guy.
Yeah, it was
really
big heart.
big heart, that guy. Yeah.
I was a huge fan of that show. I actually owned a restaurant at the time, and I used to, I hate to admit this in public, but I would actually be late for shifts because I was like, I just got to catch the last, this was before like it was all streaming. Anyway, huge fan. And of course, Dexter. Yes. Which, I mean, that was, I think, one of the best shows ever. Both of them, 2 of the best shows ever made. I have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
So I notice, I've been a big fan of, the HBO series, Showtime series. I think it's some of the best work that's being done, on TV right now. I noticed a lot of crossover in casting between series like Oz and Dexter and things like that. Is that intentional? Do people tend to work together on things like that?
I don't think so. I think it just coincidence and just actors that are consistently working on their work and you know, when like Oz was the first dramatic series on HBO.
Really?
Yes, and I believe Dexter was the first dramatic series on Showtime. So sometimes they just want to, you know, they get a character and they've seen these other shows and they've seen the actors that they like and they write for certain characters and you wind up, like I wound up working with, but you know, here's the thing, it's like you always run into the same people. There's that group of people that, group of actors, group of artists, writers, directors, you know, DPs, cameramen, and you always run into them. So it's that small group that, you know, really commits to what they need to be done, and it's also they got, you know, lucky breaks and they got into it.
So, you know, it's interesting you say that because I, you know, as a director, I started out working, doing new works and working with a lot of.
You said nude works. New works. New works. Okay, great.
New works, yeah. And working with a lot of up and coming actors and things like that, doing workshops. And when I put my casting director hat on, to me it's always very important to work with people that are not just talented but professional, and that, you know, show up prepared. And do you find that even at your level that makes a difference? I mean, is that sort of what defines that group of people that always see each other?
It's essential. I mean, you have to have really good work ethic to continue to work in this business. There's just not enough time for lackadaisical, you know, work. I think that, but there's a lot of actors that have really good work ethic. There's so many, there's so many ingredients to get to that level, and sometimes you don't even know what they are. But work ethic is always one that's always there. You got to have good work ethic. Got to always come prepared. You know, have a great positive attitude. You know, that's I think is so important and is necessary to succeed. And to have longevity. Right,
right. People want to work with you over and over again in different projects. So tell me what else you have. What do you have going on right now?
Well, right now there's a film I did with Ralph Macchio called Lost Cat Corona. You can probably see it on VOD, or you can see it on Amazon. And we shot that last year around Citi Field in Corona, Queens. And that's out, and that's a lot of fun. It's a comedy. It's a really a fun show, a fun movie to see. I just finished the 3rd season of Bloodline for Netflix.
Yeah.
And that was amazing.
Congratulations, man.
We shot that in Key Largo, and that was a really good bunch of people, and that's probably going to air, I don't know, probably June, July.
Okay.
And I'm here right now shooting this show called 7 Seconds. I just got cast in a show called 7 Seconds. That's about the Jersey City Police Department and an incident that happened and the aftermath of that incident. And then in June, I start the 2nd season of Shut Eye, which is a show I did the 1st season on Hulu. That's out now. You can watch the 1st season, and we just got picked up for a 2nd season, and I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations. So how's it working with Hulu versus, the landscape of television has just changed so dramatically in the last like 10, 15 years. It's amazing. How's it, so you were one of the first people to take the whole HBO Showtime route to massive fame. Yeah. How's it now working with the Hulu folks?
Oh, it's great. You know, listen, in order to have a show in any of these networks, you gotta do good work. You gotta have the great writers. The one great thing about television is that right now I consider it a golden age of television, because the short term, 10 to 12 episodes, 10 to 13 episodes format are bringing in the best writers, the best directors, the best actors, and so those shows are really important, and they're really doing well,
Do you find that it's more satisfying to work, because it seems like, I don't think it's, I think people are actually writing to the full 12 episode, like the story arcs clearly go, they expect you to watch the whole thing to binge watch it a lot of times.
Right.
Do you find it more satisfying to be able to work on a character over that length of time, as opposed to like in a movie, like 2 hours you have to?
I do, yes. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to find layers and to get into the characters and just the nuances of every individual personality of that character that you play. Sometimes you can get it in a film, sometimes you can't.
Right.
But in a 12 episode or 10 episode format, you could always find those specific moments that makes that character and makes that story more interesting.
Do the writers, when you're working on something that's long-term, like a Dexter, do the writers tend to reflect moments that you find in later episodes?
Yeah, at times. At times, you have some input, and sometimes the input you put is what you've put out in the last, in the last episode, or the little specific things that you add to the character. We had really smart, good writers on Dexter, and they would find something that they found unique or they found interesting, and they would build on it in future episodes. And I always found that really satisfying, and it was a great 8 years on that show.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite shows ever. One of the reasons why I'm excited to have you on Broadway Bartender is that you've done a lot of stage work that I don't know. There's probably some people out there that aren't aware of the stage work that you've done. Labyrinth Theater Company?
Labyrinth Theater
Tell
Company.
us a little bit about that.
When Labyrinth Theater Company started in 1992 with John Ortiz and Gary Perez and Paul Calderon, David Deblinger, we started doing shows that was reflective of New York City, multi-ethnic. And I did a lot of plays in the 90s with them, and a lot of them directed by Philip Seymour Hoffman, a lot of them written by Stephen Ali Girgis, who's one of the best playwrights right now going on, and also a lot of great actors that came from that company. And I did a lot of plays, and then I also did Anna in the Tropics on Broadway, which was a lot of fun. John Ortiz was in it too, Jimmy Smits, Priscilla Lopez, Daphne Rivera-Vega, Vanessa Aspiaga. Most of the cast was in Labyrinth Theater Company.
Really?
So yeah, so it was like, but it was separate. It wasn't a Labyrinth production,
So this was what you're talking about. This is just serendipity, good people getting work.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, because I mean, you can see how I got to think that like people just continue to work together,
I think that's one of the things that's attractive to me in this business, that you get to work with people that you admire, that you've worked with before, and that they got great work ethic, and you can come in and create something and just have fun doing it and just do your thing, and you find the same people that do it over and over again.
So speaking of work ethic, I think most actors are familiar with the term survival job, which what pays the rent when you're auditioning, right?
Right, exactly.
So your survival job fascinates me. Well, what were you were?
I was a New York City police officer. In fact, my precinct was about 6 blocks down the road here on 8th Avenue.
Real 6 blocks from New York City?
Midtown North, yeah, right there on 54th Street and 8th Avenue. And I did that for about 15 years and was able to retire from there in 2000. So, but it was an interesting job to pay the bills with.
I was gonna say, it's next time I hear an actor complaining about having to come in after a bartending shift, I'm gonna be like, you talk to David Zayas about coming in after walking the beat, or.
I used to film a show or do a play, and after the play, the actors, they want to go have a drink and just relax, and just I had to go do a midnight shift in Hell's Kitchen as a cop, but it's amazing that when you want to do something. Like, I thought it was great that I had that. I didn't think it was a burden. I didn't think it was something that, I got to go to. It was just what I had to do to get to what I needed to get to. And so it was an interesting way of being. There's a lot of actors that, they have these jobs that are like really, really tough. Like, being a bartender is not an easy job.
It's not being a police officer, I'll tell you that.
But I mean, like, it's one of those that, also being a police officer, it helped me as an actor in observing different kind of personalities, different kind of characters, different situations, how you would handle those situations.
Right.
You learn how to work under pressure. And so, when I became an actor and I had to go and, audition for something, it really wasn't that stressful to me. I had just finished, a shift in the west side of Manhattan. So it was a good thing to do at the time.
So this was when Hell's Kitchen, like, literally lived up to its name, right? I mean, it's.
Yeah, when I started working here, it was, still a little. It turned while I was working here. It's like changed, and now it's a really, really interesting place to live in. But at the time when I first started in the early '90s here, before that I was in Washington Heights in the '80s. So I worked in Washington Heights in the '80s, and then when I started acting, I transferred over to Midtown so I could be closer to the action.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and
The
get
theater
involved.
action,
Yeah,
I guess.
the
Yeah, of
theater
course.
action,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. And obviously, you must use a lot of the police officer experience. I mean, in a lot of your roles, you're playing officers, so I mean, that must lend an authenticity to the role.
It helps me in finding the authenticity. I mean, every character is different. You got to find different things in it. But the actual technical aspect of playing a cop, I could get to it quickly.
Well, it must have paid off because, I mean, you're on Broadway in a Pulitzer Prize-winning play in Anna in the Tropics. I mean, I have to ask you about that. What's that? I mean, that is the dream. That's the ultimate, right, for the actor.
It was wonderful, and it was a wonderful experience because it was the first time on Broadway that every cast member was Latino. You know, so that was something that we were proud of, and the playwright Nilo Cruz wrote this amazing, beautiful play, and we started workshopping it. And it was after we workshopped it then he won the Pulitzer Prize, and then we did it at the McCarter in Princeton. Then we moved it to Broadway, and it was a really exciting time. It was,
so you were with the production before it came to Broadway?
Yeah, we did, the entire cast did the production in Princeton at the McCarter Theater.
Right.
And then right after that, we came to Broadway and did it at the time it was the Royale. I think it's the Jacobs now.
So I understand it was considered to be a long shot for the Pulitzer because it didn't actually play in New York before the vote or something like that, or was that right? Or
yeah, I'm not quite sure how they picked the Pulitzer. I think they submitted to read it. I'm not quite sure, but it won. I think it was 2003 that it won, and it was just a wonderful. Wonderful surprise for us that we were part of this really wonderful play, and it was the first time and the last time I was on Broadway. Hopefully there'll be another time. But
I think that's a good one, though.
Yeah.
So can you real briefly tell us a little bit about the play, because it kind of ties into the drink that I'm going to make.
The Anna in the Tropics?
Yeah.
Well, Anna in the Tropics it takes place in 1929, Ybor City in Tampa. And it's a factory where they roll cigars. It's a cigar factory. And back in the day, there was no TV. There wasn't even radio, and they would bring these elegant, really classy lectors, they call them, that would come in, and while they were doing the work, they would just, with their elegant voice, read certain novels, read classic novels, and put their own twist to it. And they would entertain the workers and not make them go crazy while they were rolling all these thousands of cigars, every day. And so it's about that, and then the drama of what happens in that factory with certain individuals and family and everything. It was a great play.
And the lector is reading,
right,
Anna Karenina, right?
Anna Karenina, right. But that was just the story in this play. But they used to read, all Shakespeare. They would read Shakespeare. They would read the Greek plays. They would pick everyone to read there. And in this particular story, he came and he read Anna Karenina. And what was happening in the story was actually happening in the factory, kind of similar. And so that was the dynamic of that play.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I unfortunately haven't seen it, but I'm gonna have to at least pick it up and read it.
Great.
All right, awesome. So you wanna feel like making a drink?
Hey man, let's do it.
All right, so why don't you switch with me?
I make them pretty strong.
That's
normally.
all right.
So, cool.
So I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing.
All right.
So this is gonna be a variation on a classic daiquiri.
Okay.
All right, which is a rum, Cuban staple.
Okay.
And we're gonna use Bacardi rum,
Okay.
Puerto Rican rum. So in this tin, if you want to, there should be a ice scoop down there.
Okay.
And just go ahead and fill it about halfway up.
Of ice.
Yep, nice.
It's kind of natural for me though.
Yeah, it feels
I'm kinda
good,
feeling
right?
it. Yeah, let's do it.
And you should have a bottle of Bacardi down there. Should be about the third one over.
Okay.
There you go. And I want you to just pour that in there, and I want you to count to 4.
Okay.
And that's going to be 2 ounces. Each count is going to be a half ounce. So you're doing 4 counts is 2 ounces. Then also down there, you got a bottle of Stoli vodka. So this is where we bring in Anna Karenina.
There you go.
So it's Russian. Do you like that?
Got it.
4 again.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
And then this is simple syrup. So there should be a jigger right over there. Yep. And I want you to just fill that little small part with the
Small
simple
one.
syrup and put that in.
Just one?
Just one. And that's about a half ounce, and that's gonna be about a quarter ounce per drink. We don't want them too sweet.
Gotcha.
Great, and then we need lime juice, yeah? So this is our citrus juicer. Just go ahead and open that up, and you pop that lime in flat side down, right in the bottom there.
Okay.
Yeah, and just squeeze that right in.
Nice.
And we're gonna do that with 2 of those lime wedges, and when you're done with them, you can just dump it right in there. So far we got a little bit of Russian influence in there. We got a little bit of Cuban / Puerto Rican influence in there.
There you go.
Very classic daiquiri.
Okay.
And now the fun part is we're gonna have you shake it. So you've
Nice.
seen bartenders do this, yeah?
I've seen them do it.
All right.
I always say, I wonder if that's easy or not.
Well, you find out. So
for
this goes in there.
All right.
All right, and just give it a little twist and pull it over to one side so that it locks in. There you go, and then kind of twist it down. And just shake it up, man.
All right.
Feel good? Awesome.
Get used to this.
Yeah.
Actually, right now, and probably because this is a lot more fun than being a cop, I guess.
I enjoy it. It's more to my
Yeah, it's
taste.
great.
Okay, so now I need to get a little smoke in there for the cigar flavor.
Okay.
So down the very last bottle on the right is a bottle of mezcal.
Oh.
Which is you like mezcal?
It's
Okay.
nice.
So that's an agave spirit that's very smoky.
There's
I want
even a
you-
government warning here. But
Yeah, put
all
a
right.
little drop in the glass.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit in the glass. Yeah, 1 in each glass. And this is called a mezcal rinse.
Okay.
And what you're gonna do is just swirl that around, coat the inside of the glass, and then you can dump it out in that tin right there. So just swirl them both around, get that nice smoky flavor in there. Yep, and then
put
dump
it-
out the
both of
excess.
them.
Yep, just dump it out.
Here.
Yep. Fantastic. And then you're gonna take that strainer on this tin. Yep.
Okay.
And you're gonna strain this drink into those glasses.
Into these glasses.
so just put 'em right
so
here.
you just wanted the flavor
I
of
just
this.
want the flavor. Yeah, so this is called a rinse.
All right.
And so I don't want to actually add mezcal. So what you want to do, so this is going to be easy for you. So make a gun with your right hand. You're a righty, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you make a gun with your right
Okay.
hand like this.
All right.
Boom. And then take the barrel of that gun and you're going to put it right on top of so this bout right there. Yeah, and then that's it. Perfect.
And then just
strain it right in. And then you can do the other one.
And then the other one.
Yep.
Perfect.
And so this is a Russian daiquiri with a mezcal rinse. And I think that should have most of the elements of the show in there, yeah?
Sure does.
And let's go ahead and put a lime wedge on there,
Okay.
right on the rim. And see what you think about
There
that,
we
my
go.
friend.
That'll be $45.
Yeah, it's in New York, it absolutely will.
Cheers.
Cheers. Are you getting that smoke on the nose?
Good stuff.
You like that?
Yeah. How'd I do?
You did amazing,
There you go.
man. That is
Good.
awesome.
Great.
So I think you're a much better bartender than I would ever be a police officer.
Well, yeah, listen. It's
So
incident to incident.
Where can people find? Where can they follow you? How do they find out what you're up to?
Let's see, I don't have Facebook, but I have.
Good for you.
I don't do that. But I have Twitter,
Okay.
David Zayas 62, at David Zayas 62, and also Instagram, which is ZZ_NYC.
Okay.
So yeah, check it out. There's a lot of
Outstanding,
things.
man. Well, congratulations on all the success.
Thank
Good
you
luck
so
with all the new
much.
projects. Thank you so much, dude. This has honestly been such an honor for me.
It's
Thank
been a
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you for having me. All right.
Folks, thanks for watching Broadway Bartender. Check us out again next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Do the show. Good. You do the show too much, you just get drunk. Yeah.